I'm going to be explaining to you guys how to get a 10K day in the span of the next 90 days for yourself, step by step. And I'll explain everything for you about how to start your own voice AI agency. Now, obviously, we're going to take this month by month, and I'm going to give you guys a set of rules that you need to be able to get and attach onto your business, just because if you don't get these things in place, you're not going to be able to reach 10K per month. Now, all of this could be as well hypothetical. As you may already know, 90 days from now, you may be making 30K a month. You may be making $0. And the reason you may have not made any money would be maybe because you didn't work hard enough. That's the way that I see everything. Everything that you want in life, you have to work really hard towards getting. All right. So I'm going to give you guys basically everything that you need in order to be successful and to get to that point of 10K per month. And obviously, I'll give you guys a lot of gold nuggets, as you guys already know I usually do. So I'm going to split this up into 3 sections. It's going to be the first 30 days, the first 60 days, and the last 90 days, right? So 30 days, 30 days, and 30 days. All right. So the first 30 days, the goal is to set up the foundation of your voice AI agency. Now, I'm going to be talking about some of the tools that you guys will need in order to be able to do this, but keep in mind that you can take this with a grain of salt because a lot of people use different tools. I'm just going to share with you the ones that work personally for me. All right. Now, first things first, the first tool that you're going to be able to use for voice AI itself is Synthflow. Synthflow is where you're going to be creating all your voice AI models, your voice AI assistants with capabilities of being able to tap into API and all that good stuff. Synthflow is where you're going to be creating all of your voice AI assistants, including your white label solutions, which Synthflow also helps out with, right? And they give you the potential to be able to white label your own software. Now, in terms of automation and CRMs, I always use GoHighLevel. Now, GoHighLevel is essentially the best platform that you could use in matching with Synthflow, just because they're both integrated with one another. GoHighLevel's capabilities in terms of costs are way better than Zapier, Make, and Aden. And the reason I say this is because they don't charge for every single action that you do within a workflow. They only charge for the actions that you basically need to use in terms of doing a premium action, is what they call them, which they charge 1 cent every time that you use that action. And there's ways to bypass those actions so that way it costs even less. So this is why I like GoHighLevel. And on top of this, we're able to use features that GoHighLevel has, like custom fields, just pipeline stages, the dashboard creation and weekly reporting, amongst a lot of things. If you watch my videos, you can understand why I love GoHighLevel and I use it so much. All right. Same thing with Synthflow. After this, obviously, you're going to have to get your own 11 Labs account, not to pay anything, but to research voices that you want to use for yourself. This is going to be very important, right? Then obviously you're going to need GPT, so ChatGPT, OpenAI. You're going to need this just because you're going to be using this sometimes to create a partial prompt for your general prompts for your clients, of course, as well yourself for training. So this is where you're going to be going in there. You plug in what type of prompt you want to make. Obviously, there's ways that you can automate this entire thing. I'll make separate videos on this. However, that you're going to use GPT to be able to automate your prompting generation, just for the first 70% as well. Now, in regards to anything else, in regards to automation, you will be able to use Zapier, Make, and Aden, depending on which ones you want to use. However, most of them are already covered by GoHighLevel. So do keep that in mind. But if you are a fan of these other platforms, then don't be afraid to keep using them, right? They're still very useful and you can still connect them with any other platform using API. All right. Now, apart from this, right, you need to have a clear vision of what your goal is a year from now. What goals do you want to accomplish a year from now? Do you want to hit 50K a month? Do you want to get 100K a month? Maybe you want to hit a different type of goal. Maybe you want to show this to 20,000 people. Maybe you want to be able to make connections that will push you forward, right, a year from now, just by knowing voice AI. You might have a different goal than a lot of people, but it all depends on you setting out those goals and making sure that you try your best to reach them a year from now, right? So make sure that you have that clear vision. It's going to be very, very important. And once you have that clear vision, take a notebook and write it down. I write everything on my notebooks, everything. So then you are going to have to pick a niche, right? But in order to be able to pick a niche, you need to do your research. So what industries is voice AI going to help? How is voice AI going to help out other industries the best way possible? Right? You have to do research. And in order to do research, you need to talk with people that are in those industries. What struggles are they currently facing? What issues are they currently facing that you can fix with voice AI? How can you leverage voice AI to not replace the people that are inside of their company, but to enhance their performance. How can you make this possible? Whether it's calling a list and then having the voice AI tell the user that they're calling, hey, we're going to get back with you in just a second. One of our other team members is going to go back and call you. You should be receiving a call tomorrow. And then the person that's actually in the company, the human, is going to call that user and then obviously close them out to the deal. This is basically enhancing the performance of your employees, not replacing them, right? So use cases like this, maybe people don't want to replace them. Maybe people do want to replace them, right? It all depends. But voice AI is capable of doing it all if you teach it correctly, right? So picking a niche is going to be maybe not the easiest thing, because more than likely a lot of you are going to start off with one niche and then you might finish off with another. It all depends. It happens to me, it happens to almost everybody, but you will find your way as soon as you start going. You have to keep going. You have to keep testing every single time. All right. Now, once you do this, you're going to create your offer. What are you going to be offering to these people within that niche? Now, this goes back to the pain points that you were able to allocate from these or gather from these people inside of that niche. So once you're able to get those pain points from the people within that niche, you are essentially going to be able to craft a voice AI capable of solving those issues. Then you're going to format that into a package that can be either 3 packages separately with different monthly recurring revenues, or it could just be a one-time fee with a support fee on top of that after, right? It depends on how you want to package it. However, just keep in mind that you need to set this in place before you start reaching out to people, right? It's just a given. You need to set this in place. Now, that is what's going to happen within the first 30 days of your journey in order to be able to get to a profitable voice AI agency. You shouldn't reach out and try to get clients as fast as possible. You should set a foundation if you really want to take this seriously. All right. Now moving on to the next 30 days, right? So we're reaching up to the 60-day mark now. Now, the goal here now, once you set up your foundation, your goal is to book meetings. All right. So the best outreach strategies really depend on what systems you had in place before, if you had anything before. However, if you're starting anew, you have to start fresh using small businesses. You might want to reach out to medium, you might want to reach out to large businesses. However, if you have no experience and you're going into this blindly, you need to reach out to small businesses to gather experience. Now, what are some of the best ways to gather small businesses, right? The first is cold calling. If you are experienced in cold calling, I would definitely recommend that you cold call, just because you are going to be able to talk to people that are in that industry. And on top of that, you will get even more pain points that they're facing. People that are actually in the job and doing it 24/7. And in order to be able to get your cold calling channel set up, you can use a various different amount of tools to be able to scrape leads from Google Maps and call them using their phone numbers, which you can even plug it into GoHighLevel and then have manual calls happen, right? Which you can do pretty easily. So if you're looking to get started with just small businesses, I would definitely recommend this, right? If you're looking to target more medium-sized businesses, then I would recommend email marketing. All right. Now, with email marketing, you're going to be able to send out tons and tons of emails. We're talking about, if you're very experienced, or if you have somebody that's very experienced with emails, you're going to be able to send out 5,000 emails per day, 10,000 emails per day. It really depends on how experienced you are with it and how good you are with domain management within the email marketing space. However, if you're looking to scale and you're looking to book in a lot of meetings for yourself that are small to medium size, maybe even some large clients, because emails vary, I would definitely go with this, because this is a system that you can easily automate and you can just have running in the background while you're trying to get more leads, right? Now, lastly, if you are going for larger clients, I would definitely recommend that you set up some sort of way to get them to be inbound leads. Usually, whenever somebody goes into a new industry, right? For example, voice AI, they are going to be looking for gurus, people who know and are subject matter experts about voice AI. You're going to go to these people and they're going to ask them questions. For example, take me as an example, right? I set up my own Skool community. I set up my own YouTube. I set up partnerships with Synthflow. And essentially, these 3 allow me to gather inbound leads so that way I can put them into the Skool community, teach them, make sure that they get all the value that they need, and so on and so forth. So if you're looking for larger clients, definitely do the inbound, because if you get to a certain point, let's say you have 5,000, maybe even 1,000 subscribers, you can definitely get a lot of inbound leads coming in, especially if you're good at content creating. All right. Now, of course, you need to be very consistent, which is leading me to the next step, right? Consistency. In order for you to be consistent in this market, right? So that way you're able to book a lot of meetings, you need to set up systems. As I mentioned, email marketing, you are capable of automating this so that way it just flows in by itself. You're going to be able to book in meetings as much as possible just because all you have to do is keep an eye on the emails that are going out and then reply to positive messages that come in, right? So all these things you're able to automate. Now for inbound, right? If you're looking to get the larger scales, essentially you are going to need to be consistent with videos that you're posting, right? Whether you're posting on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever it is, just be consistent. Try to post at least twice per week. If it's on YouTube, maybe even once per week is completely fine if you have time. And then try to post every single day on other platforms such as Instagram. I wouldn't suggest TikTok, but if you want to do TikTok, you can do TikTok, X, right? Basically Twitter, and then LinkedIn. These you have to post almost every single day or every other day, depending on what your style is. All right. Now, this leads me to the last 90 days, right? So this is the last 30-day mark, essentially. Now, your goal, once you're able to get a lot of booked meetings, your goal is to refine and scale. So don't do the mistake that I made, that I basically spent 7 months working very hard. I was going to say working my off, but anyway, working very hard and not recording anything, no SOPs, no nothing. So don't do the mistake that I made. I'm teaching you guys this now so you guys don't repeat what happened to me, where I didn't create any SOPs. This is the first thing that you need to have in order to be able to scale up, right? If you want to bring people on board and hire and get VAs and all that stuff and developers, you need to have systems in place that are capable of being replicable, right? So anything that you learn, you need to document into an SOP. If you learn how to make a new feature that the voice AI is capable of using, make sure to make that an SOP, a system of processes, right? So that way, whenever somebody comes in as a new hire, you hire somebody, you are capable of just telling them, hey, watch through all these SOPs that I have, learn them, and now basically they're going to be capable of doing exactly what you do, or go back to the SOPs and use those as a reference, right? So all in all, take this as a gold nugget. You need to be able to create SOPs for yourself, because if you don't, then eventually you're going to have to do it anyway, because people are going to be asking you, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I've gone through it, trust me, many times, and I've learned my lesson. You won't have time, especially if you're becoming a successful voice AI agency, you won't have time to answer all of these questions all the time. You'll need to create SOPs, which then leads me to being able to hire, right? What type of roles do you want to hire for, especially if you're going for this type of implementation voice AI agency model? All right, you basically will need to hire for, I believe, 3 things, or maybe there's a couple, but the 3 main things, or 4 main things actually, that you will need to hire for are developers. You will need developers. You then will need to hire a VA, very important, so that way you're able to take care of personal tasks. Then you will need to hire a salesperson, right? And lastly, you'll need to hire somebody capable of doing your marketing. All right, so this will basically help you out immensely, just because you will have a team behind you that is capable of growing with you. And on top of this, any mundane tasks, like for example, jumping on calls, like sales calls, essentially, you don't really want to do yourself. However, what I would like for you guys to do, at least with sales, is jump on at least 10 calls, maybe even 20 calls initially, so that way you understand how the sales process works, and you, as well as your salesperson, is able to learn alongside you. However, you will do the same thing with the developers, because you want to be able to understand exactly what you want built out before you just have somebody else build it out for you. You have to become the best person inside of your company in terms of knowledge before you can hire anybody else. So do keep that in mind as well before you go out hiring people. But you do this, you do all the learning in the first 60 days, not the last 90 days. All right. So once you get this in place and you hire everybody in your team, you basically are going to look to scale. Now you're going to be able to scale. Why? Because you have a foundation, you have a way to automate your booked meetings, and you created SOPs. So whenever you hire people, they're capable of going in, looking at your SOPs, and then getting to work. That's really all it is. All right. Now, in this point, you're able to scale up to the point where obviously you start throwing more money into the email marketing, throwing more money into advertising, throwing more money into your content so that way it's better, throwing more money into be able to post every day on LinkedIn, Twitter, X, well, basically the same thing. Anyway, throwing more money on all those things so that way you're able to scale up and use that money to be able to get more book meetings, which will make you money in return. All right. So once you get to this point, now it's a term of system refinement. So this may take you more than the 30 days, obviously in the last 90 days, but this is something that you need to do. You need to refine your system, which means you need to automate tasks that can be automated. Anything that can be automated, you should automate. Why? Because you shouldn't spend your VA's time or your time or your developer's time or your salesperson time by doing tasks that can just be automated for a couple of cents, all right? Maybe even nothing using GoHighLevel, right? So do keep that in mind. That is going to be the last thing that you're going to need to do in order to be able to scale up your business, okay? With that being said, that should be it for the last 90 days. Now, I will tell you this, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, I have a Skool community right here that you guys can see. Join that Skool community. I literally have free courses that teach you how to use GoHighLevel as well as Synthflow. And keep in mind, I give out free snapshots. I have like 5 free snapshots that you guys can take over that will give you a Synthflow snapshot as well as a GoHighLevel snapshot. You'll have everything that you need in order to be able to get started with voice AI. So that being said, I would really appreciate it if you guys liked and subscribed. I'm definitely looking to make more content like this, but it definitely motivates me as well as the team behind me to get more subscribers and building for you guys 24/7. All right. So thank you guys so much. We're almost at 500 subscribers. So by the time you're seeing this, we're at 500 subscribers. I really thank you guys. Very excited to keep going, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.